Welcome back once again. As promised, I said I was going to get to the dev notice producer letter video. So today is going to be a bit of a different type of video. What we're going to end up doing is just a second, I'm going to pop up the YouTube video right here in just a minute. And we're going to watch it and go through it line by line and kind of break down what's going on. Because why this is important is for those of you who don't know a lot about Outerplane's history. It was recently acquired by Major 9, and it's no longer in Smilegate's control. Yay! It means it has a chance to live, because this thing was originally on its EOS deathbed. And today, we get to see the brief bit of hope of what is actually coming to the game and why this is going to help make sure that this game does not EOS. Inside this, what you were going to really get to see is a little bit of the where they're going, what they're planning on doing, and just kind of want to cover this. And so I'm going to bring up the video now, and we're going to watch it, and I'll pause it along the way. If you want to watch the video uninterrupted, I'll make sure that the link is in the description so that you guys can watch this video as well uninterrupted. So it's a 13-minute video, so get back, go grab a drink, pause the video, and then come back when you're ready to see what they have to say. If not, let's go ahead and jump on into this. So.
안녕하세요. 아우터플레인 유저 여러분. 저는 아우터플레인의 개발 PD 현문수입니다. 2023년도 오픈 시점에 영상으로 찾아뵙고 거의 2년 반 만에 이렇게 영상으로 다시 인사드리게 되었습니다. 정말 감회가 새롭고 유저분들께 직접 말씀드릴 수 있는 자리라 긴장되고 설레기도 합니다. 저희 아우터플레인이 서비스를 시작한 지 벌써 2년이 지났습니다. 해마다 수많은 신작들이 출시되는 모바일 게임 시장에서 아직까지 서비스를 유지할 수 있는 건 전적으로 유저 여러분 덕분이라고 생각합니다. 저희 아우터플레인을 아끼고 사랑해주시는 전 세계 모든 유저분들께 이 자리를 빌려 깊은 감사의 인사드립니다. 오늘은 서비스 이관에 맞춰 유저분들께 다시 인사를 드리고 이관 이후의 업데이트를 어떻게 진행할지 안내드리고자 합니다. 우선 서비스 이관과 관련된 이야기를 먼저 드리겠습니다. 이미 소식을 접하신 분들도 계실 테고 실제 인게임에서 이관 절차를 마치고 새로운 서비스를 기다리고 계신 분들도 많으실 텐데요. 그동안 함께해온 스마일게이트와의 계약을 종료하고 앞으로는 자체 서비스로 전환하게 되었습니다. 다만 저희 개발사 힘만으로는 아직 부족한 부분이 많고 더 안정적이고 발전적인 운영을 위해 새로운 파트너와 함께하기로 했습니다. 오늘 이 자리가 새로운 출발을 알리는 첫 걸음이라고 생각하며 아우터플레인의 새로운 동반자, 신규 퍼블리셔 메이저9을 소개해드리겠습니다.
Now, this right here is already kind of a big deal. You publicly can't come out and say this company was screwing us over, but that's literally basically what you need to know. Again, part of the backstory is if this is your first time really hearing about Outerplane in the last, let's say, week, congratulations. You can thank this
안녕하세요.
guy
메이저9 게임 퍼블리싱 본부
right here. And why this is important is they never marketed the game whatsoever, okay? I was just on my phone an hour ago and I saw another ad. That's a big deal because up until now, nothing was being promoted about this. You had no social media presence at all, really, other than updates. So at this point, now that they're going to hopefully be promoting, social media more, they're going to be getting ads out there. Ads are terrible? No. At this point, ads are the best thing you could ever see for this game because the more ads you see, it means the more coverage is going out there, whether it's a YouTube ad, whether it's a ad on like Instagram, your X account, TikTok, wherever you are. If you're seeing an ad for this game, finally, that's a good sign because that now means people are going to start seeing the game more, which is the biggest issue that I think most of us that have been there from day one can say, and we mean day one, is it wasn't promoted well at all. Smilegate did very little for the game, and that's a big deal. But they're not going to publicly come out and shame them because they are of integrity and they're not going to do that. Guess what? I'm not publicly tied to either one of the companies, so I have no problem shaming them. Smilegate's a terrible company when it comes to when it came to something like this. They had a brand new IP and they did nothing with it because they were too busy with their other IP. And sometimes this is where getting too many fingers into the pie is a big deal. And with Epic 7, they were clearly very focused on it. They had a couple other things. I'd have to go back and look at their catalog at the time. I don't think Chaos Nightmare Zero or whatever it's called was in development yet, or was just beginning the development cycle. Remember, games take several years to develop, and this game was abandoned very quickly. So this was probably started midway through probably year 2 or year 3 of Outerplane. I think that you could go look up the backstory of it, or not Outerplane, but of Epic 7. Outerplane was kind of started its development. And when Smilegate probably got a hold of it, they're the distributor. That's kind of that's the point where they're going to be the ones pushing and promoting the game to get it out globally. However, they did a terrible job with it, and now we're going to see these guys talk about bringing it closer.
이도환 본부장입니다. 여러분들께 처음 인사드립니다. 앞으로 잘 부탁드리겠습니다. 메이저 나인은 첫 퍼블리싱 작품으로 아우터플레인과 함께하게 되어 대단히 영광으로 생각합니다.
Right here is what you want to note is it's a great privilege for Major 9 that our very first publishing title is Outerplane. So meaning this is their first game, they're going to want it to succeed because this doesn't want to be a blemish on their resume that a game flopped first under their control. So this should mean you've got more writing on it than an already successful company that is looking at it as a tax write-off. Doesn't matter where you are, that crap happens everywhere. So that's a really good thing to look at right there. This is their very first publishing title. Doesn't mean it's their first development title. You could go do a little research on them. But it does mean that this will be published by them.
대단히 영광으로 생각하고 앞으로의 여정을 대단히 기대하고 있습니다. 먼저 메이저 나인은 글로벌 게임 마케팅의 전문 에이전시로 이번에 새롭게 퍼블리싱 사업을 진행하게 되었습니다. 저희는 단순히 사업적 목표 달성을 넘어 퍼블리셔로서의 성공적 사례를 만들기 위해서 아우터플레인의 장기적인 관점에서의 게임의 개선과 유저와의 신뢰 구축 등의 활동을 전개하고자 합니다. 기본적으로는 저희 전문 영역
That right there is key as well. Go roll back just a little bit further. Long-term approach in building lasting trust with our players. The best way you can do that, listen to your community, listen to the feedback that they give you, because here's the thing. None of us want to see the game actually succeed. When you actually get into something and you get behind something, you don't tell somebody that because you want them to fail, unless you're trying to just that person. But most of us, when we get behind a game, we're like saying, hey, this would make it better. And it's multiple ideas. And also the good news is when the more people say one thing, it also kind of might mean it might be the direction that kind of resolves around hey, this would probably actually fix something. Instead of one person's opinion, because that also can directly negatively influence a game. When one person is the only one making decisions, you don't get to get the creativity that actually can truly innovate. And that's one of the parts is if they don't really listen to us, how can you do it? So building trust, this is a great first step. Talking to the community directly. Now listen as well is a great part.
기본적으로는 저희 전문 영역이었던 글로벌 마케팅 활동은 물론 다양한 부분에서 아우터플레인의 서비스 발전에 기여하기 위해 현재 VA 게임즈와 협업을 진행하고 있습니다. 이를 위한 상징적인 첫 번째 스텝으로 VA 게임즈와 논의하여 이번에 개발자 편지를 시작으로 정기적인 소통 콘텐츠를 진행할 예정입니다. 현무스 PD님께서 매우 흔쾌하게 출연을 약속해 주셨기 때문에 이번 콘텐츠를 계기로 개발자의 편지나 라이브 방송 또는 유저 간담회 등의 다양한 콘텐츠를 진행하려
This will be important on how they want to communicate with the players in different ways. The best way, personally, they could ever do this is to listen to people on their Discords, listen to people on social media, get a community that goes into streams. Unfortunately, there aren't many. I hate to say it, but right now, I'm kind of one of the only ones actually doing this right now. This is not tooting my own horn. This is literally me looking at the Twitch category. As of today, there was nobody but me in there streaming it. So you need to go in and get a streamer outreach. You need to get a YouTuber. Hey, go guess what? Hi, I do both. But talk to them and see what's going on, because sometimes we have the brunt force of information before they do. Because guess what? Guess who comes complaining when something's not working? They come to people like you. Go into the comment on my video and you'll say, hey, this isn't working, or why isn't that happening? You'll come to me and ask a question. Guess what? Either I know it or I don't. So this is why this is good for them to go and reach out to some players, especially content creators and stuff like that, no matter who or what you're doing. And that different way is also how that information can go out. But they also lack one thing right now, is their website, I believe, is only in Korean right now. And they're only putting out very limited things in English. This thing needs a full English forum overhaul for everything. So complete English package for website and for forums, so that you can reach out as a player. And you not only come directly to me to voice your opinion, you go directly to them and voice the opinion too. But currently that doesn't exist.
하려고 계획 중에 있습니다. 두 번째로, 이 영상이 공개되는 시점에 도쿄 게임쇼에서 오프라인 굿즈 배포
Unfortunately, to me, this really kind of irks me, because offline pop-up events are great local to bring local hype to it, but people already kind of know this in the local area. The biggest thing is you need to get this out, and this is where sometimes game developers forget, the market isn't Korea. If this was a Korean-only market, this probably wouldn't have been super, super successful. You do need, a lot of these games do successful out in the, in just a niche market, but the mobile game market is growing around the world. And sometimes some of the biggest supporters are people like the United States. Crap. One of the biggest, if they get really passionate about it, are the Brazilians. I can't tell you how many times I've seen in the comments where a mass proportion of people are from like Brazil, or from just when you start going and you even go look over Europe. I mean, that map can light up and you can see all the different places. The Southeast Asia region. So it doesn't always just need to be focused in this. So these pop-up events are great, but make sure you try to do them all around the world and not just in major cities. You bring them to larger cities around all over the world to make things like this, because while this helps,
이벤트를 진행할 예정입니다.
meaningless.
도쿄 게임쇼를 기점으로 하여 부산 지스타 등의 다양한 게임쇼 등의 오프라인 행사 접점을 늘려가기 위해 노력하겠습니다. 행사 관련 안내는 홈페이지와 SNS 등을 통하여 사전에 고지할 예정이오니 많은 참여 부탁드리겠습니다. 세 번째는 저희 게임 사내 테스트를 통하여 유저 관점에서 개선이 필요한 부분을 주기적으로 검토하고 국내외의 다양한 커뮤니티에서
Well, while closely monitoring feedback from various communities worldwide to better understand players' voices. Perfect. But make sure you go to the right places. Currently, there aren't many places to voice that opinion, and again, to receive multiple people, because if there isn't an easy place to dump this information, this is going to be really hard for them to understand. So we need to make sure as a community, we at least funnel it into the right places, which could be the comment section of the video. It could be going on the Discord forum. It's, you can go voice it with your content creators to help them push it forward. But unfortunately right now, there's no point of contact for anybody that, like, as far as I understand, there's no like content creator program or anything like that created yet. So it's not like we have a point of contact where we can go say, hey, so-and-so, we got this, and this reported today. People are really, this is what they're looking forward to. I think they probably need to do a survey or something for the community, and also just try to get feedback that way.
발생하고 있는 유저들의 의견을 면밀하게 모니터링하고 있습니다. 실제 저희가 퍼블리싱을 준비하는 과정에서 저도 한 명의 유저로 다양한 커뮤니티에서 직접 참여하여 유저로서 느끼는 부분들에 대해서 의견을 소통하였고, 굉장히 좋은 아이디어와 의견들을 참고할 수 있었습니다. 이에 유저분들께서 불편을 느끼시는 UI.
Yes, the UI in this can be very terrible, but if I was to look at this as the first thing to fix, no, there's definitely bigger things to fix. While this needs a lot of time and dedication, absolutely, this probably would need to be first if you're going to be reworking a lot of visuals, but technically there would be other things that do need to be looked at quicker than the UI fix for Outerplane. But there's some terrible UI in it that's just left over that they've never addressed, because they've been working on a lot of other things. So cool, but this one kind of sucks, but it'll get done, and the game should flow better, because that is kind of annoying for some people on where some stuff is or how to filter stuff is a little awkward.
UX 개선점이나 셀 애니메이션과 같은 IP 관련 콘텐츠.
Hold on. The players found inconvenient along with aspects such as anime collaborations, PvE, PvP, BM, and across all areas. Let me let it play a
PvE,
little further.
PvP, BM 전 분야에 대해서 현문스 PD님과
So that's another big issue, is the one big collab they had, I never heard a word about it. And trust me, for Danmachi being my third current rated best favorite anime of all time, that's really shocking. Second. Actually, no, it's second. Yeah, it's second on my list, because it's Fairy Tail, Danmachi, Overlord. Even though I almost think Overlord could overtake it. That's a really hard one. Okay, let's say it's tied for second. Overlord and Danmachi. Both of those. And for those of you who don't know the other title, it's Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? So Belle, Eis Wallenstein, and Ryu. None of those, I had no idea about it. And trust me, for somebody who has my head in the mobile game market, I would have heard that if they'd have promoted it well. But they didn't, because that went completely under the radar for me. Now, some of you might have heard it from somewhere, but as for me, that completely escaped me. Normally, I would know stuff like that.
밀접하게 논의 중이며 지금 당장 할 수 있는 사항들과 장기적으로 바꿔야 하는 부분들에 대하여 정리 중에 있습니다. 결정되는 사항은 이러한 자리를 마련하여 앞으로도 자주 여러분들과 소통하면서 다양한
Yes, frequently communicate with us, just like we need to frequently communicate with them. This definitely helps out the process. Be transparent, be upfront. This is going to be a really great thing, because this is something Smilegate really didn't do well for Outerplane. They treated this so poorly, or else if they'd have done this, this game wouldn't be in the state it was in. It wouldn't have been in a consistent decline. It would have been in it would have been at an even spending field, or it would have seen small growth over time, because this was still a brand new game. Normally, with a game like this, you would have seen growth for a while, not just immediate drop-off from.
소식을 공유해 드릴 수 있도록 하겠습니다. 마지막으로 메이저9과 VA 게임즈의 관계는 쉬운 예를 들면 작가와 편집자 정도의 관계로 이해해 주시면 좋겠습니다.
And this is really cool. The author and the editor. As somebody who actually is working on writing and stuff, this means that the author is VA Games, and they are the ones that are really working behind it to put their vision out, and Major9 is making sure that the technical aspects of what they are wanting to make sure it's polished and what to get their vision out. So now that Smilegate is out of this, that means anything of the bad practices they put in or kind of forced down, because we don't really know the contractual agreement between them, but you could look at this and see Smilegate's hands all over the game. So now that they're away from it, this also is good, because now that they are going to work together, this is going to become probably a different game in 6 months than what we have seen. But it will take time. Do not try to judge this book over the next 30 days. You should see improvements, but this is probably going to take about 6 months of development time to do that, because we don't actually know the actual point of when they got it. Was it really that week that they got the file to say, hey, this is it? You need to work on it, or have they had it a little bit longer and been working on some parts leading up to the service transfer?
좋을 것 같습니다. 사업적 목표나 유저님들의 다양한 피드백을 전하면서도 원작자의 의도와 작품의 세계관을 존중하는 든든한 동반자로서의 역할을
That is key too, just to let you know, is that they want to make sure they stay true to the creator's visions, which is respectable. I don't think any one of us want to force a game company to deviate completely from their original creative vision. We just want to help them make that creative vision better.
저희는 함께할 예정이며 앞으로 잘 부탁드리고자 하는 의미에서
All the codes that you're going to see here are available until December 31st, 2025, and they are also pinned on my reroll guide. So if y'all have watched that, those are pinned up there. There's actually 5 active codes currently, and what we can do is I guess we can pin them in the comments on this video as well. So if you want all 5 codes, if you haven't gotten them, those are going to be available there as well.
화면 아래에 나가는 폰을 준비하였습니다. 유저분들께서 꼭 챙기셔서 즐거운 플레이 해나가시면 좋겠습니다. PD님께서 이관 이후 업데이트 방향성에 대해 말씀 전달드리겠습니다.
유저분들이 궁금해
All right, real quick. This is a great part because now you're going to start seeing what's coming to the game, and this is where this becomes important. Is because now this is the future vision directly from VA games, and this is going to be really cool because you're going to start getting to see insight of kind of the future of where they're going to immediately aim and longer term goals.
구매하실 아우터플레인의 업데이트 내용에 대해서 안내드리겠습니다. 저희는 아우터플레인의 게임 재미를 향상시키기 위해서 세 가지 측면에서 방향성을 잡고 이관 시점부터 업데이트를 준비하고 있는데요. 네, 첫 번째는 캐릭터 획득과 성장 관련 콘텐츠 개편입니다. 아우터플레인의 핵심 재미는 다양한 보스 패턴 공략, 그를 위한 캐릭터의 획득과 성장, 장비 파밍이라고 생각합니다. 하지만 지금은 공략에 필요한 키 캐릭터가 과금에 지나치게 묶여있고 스킬북 같은 핵심 성장 제야도 부족한 게 사실입니다. 그래서 이번 첫 업데이트에서 바로 이 부분을 개선하려고 합니다. 구체적으로 말씀드리면 도플갱어 던전 입장의 수를 늘리고
This is actually, I believe, currently live in the current version as of now. So they did this immediately, I think, coming into
조각
it.
파밍을 통해 미획득 캐릭터도 얻을 수 있도록 개선할 예정입니다. 다만 이 부분은 기존과 같이 통상 캐릭터에 한정되고 최신 신규 캐릭터는 일정 기간 제외된다는 점은 유저분들의 너른 양해 부탁드리겠습니다. 던전 입장 횟수 증가로 캐릭터 풀초월에 들어가는 속도가 절반으로 줄어들 거고
And he's not wrong. With you being able to do what you're able to do with this now, it's definitely a big step in terms of being able to cut down trying to get your 3, 4, 5 or your 4, 5, 6 stars because it's 900 pieces you need, and now with this system you can cut it down drastically, which is great.
미획득 캐릭터 조각 작업이 가능해져 약 9일이면 캐릭터 2개씩 명함을 획득할 수 있게 될 겁니다. 또 일부 컨텐츠에서 캐릭터 조각을 추가로 획득할 수 있게 예정하고 있고 배틀패스 개편을 통해 과금 유저분들은 배틀패스 구매 시 통상 캐릭터를 하나씩 추가로 확보할 수 있도록 변경될 겁니다.
So while I would kind of slightly call this pay to win, and if we were going to throw up the card because that means you are paying money to gain an advantage, the battle pass is actually fairly cheap. The costume you can get it with or without the costume. It's not actually that expensive, and there's not really a whole lot winning. This isn't going to be a make or break thing. So I wouldn't normally nick this. At this point, any good, valuable monetization in this game is great because right now the game is looking bad in terms of sales. So we need to see this game instantly jump up above 500,000 a month because most successful gacha games right now that are like the big games are making between anywhere from $90 million a month to like $20 to $15 million a month. To give you an idea, just for some of you who were here from Epic 7 right now only makes about $3 million a month. They've lost around $2 million a month just from the time I've left. Because people are quitting the game due to poor decisions. So there is a decline in their sales. And it's not because people are getting the stuff, it's because people are stopping to spend. So in a game like this, which was down in the 100,000s, which is terrible, if you're at $150,000 a month, you're getting close to EOS range. Anything that drops below that, you either have a pretty chill dev team, it's a single person, because $90,000 a month is still a lot of money. But when you look at the curve of the larger gacha game scene, this thing needs to be making at least a minimum of $500K a month to see a good start. So minor microtransaction stuff like this, where it's just a couple extra shard runs, whatever. This is cool. Bring them in. For those who can spend, makes it a little bit faster, but you're not really going to be that far ahead because your RNG may be different. You might be able to sit there and pull one unit 3 times on the random recruitment banner, and boom, now you've got you'll have let's see here, that's 150, 300, 450 shards right there. So you can't really go at this, especially for how many tickets they're giving us. Getting dupes, don't look at that as a big deal. This is just a smaller change that kind of makes it a little bit better.
아지트의 싱크로 룸도 개편됩니다. 업그레이드에 필요한 안티메타와 골드가 감소하고 스킬 레벨도 최대 레벨인 5까지 적용되도록 수정될 예정입니다. 스킬북의 경우 장기적으로 인게임 파밍을 통해
I believe that's already in the game as well, and the synchro does automatically fully level stuff up, which is great. So that's good.
획득할 수 있도록 방향을 잡고 있고 현재 어떤 콘텐츠와 연동할지 협의 중입니다. 그 전까지는 다양한 이벤트로 더 많이 지급할 예정이고
Massive improvement is bringing the ability to combine books, to get more of these books, because this was the biggest drag, and I mean the biggest drag of Outerplane year one for me, was trying to get that darn red book right there. That was the gatekeep of all gatekeeps. I could get characters leveled up, but I couldn't get them skilled up. So the fact that they're looking at getting more skill manuals in and bringing the ability to combine them and work on them all like this is going to be great, because this is going to help you get the skills, because the skills are very important here because of what they do bring. So the fact that they're even looking at this was a massive change for the game.
이간 시점에는 스킬북 합성 분해 시스템을 제공해 현재 보유하신 티어별 스킬북의 불균형 문제를 해소하겠습니다. 이번 개편으로 적어도 키 캐릭터가 없고 성장에 막혀 게임의 핵심 재미에 접근하지 못하는 부분을 완화할 거라고 생각하고 있습니다.
Exactly, and some of this stuff was literally skill locked, because if you couldn't get the book to get the next cooldown, or couldn't get the book to do the weakness gauge reduction, whatever it is, because I mean there's a lot of different things it takes. So getting those books was a big deal, and it did kind of suck when you couldn't get into it, because you'd have to wait a week for the reset to come around, where if there's better ways to grind it, it makes it a little bit easier. Now, I'm not saying make it just absolutely the easiest thing to get a hold of, but just getting it more is a better sign for anybody.
이런 방향성에 맞춘 수정을 유저분들께서도 좋아해 주시면 좋겠습니다.
We appreciate and that it aligns with their vision. Yes. So this seems like this was a Scamgate thing where they were very much wanting to try to monetize it, is more what it was set up, to try to get you to buy it. But if you set up poor, bad monetization practices on things people really don't want to spend on a game that doesn't really look successful, you're not going to do it. But I can tell you, as somebody who did buy a Moligora pack on Epic 7 at one point in time, it feels bad, but at least it was the one that made sense, because it was like some rare event where it gave you a bunch of them. Now that was cool, but just for me to go in and buy some randomly, no, I was never going to look at that monetization model.
두 번째 개발 방향성은 콘텐츠 확장과 전체적인 밸런스 조정에 있습니다. 사실 지금도 아우터플레인의 콘텐츠 종류는 충분하지 않나 싶고 참여율이 낮은 일부 콘텐츠의 조정이 필요하다고 생각합니다.
Yes, there was a lot of content that didn't get done. And I think they're probably more talking about newer stuff. But as far as like some of the original content, people hated doing the auto tower, or doing the tower climb. It was 100 stages every 30 days, and it was annoying. It took a bunch of energy, and people just kind of hated it. Let's be real. But it gave decent rewards, so you kept doing it. So I think there's more to this. I think they're probably now looking more futuristic of what is now past that point for me. So there's a lot of other content that we're still getting into, and I think he talks a little bit more about it.
또한 위 첫 번째 방향성에서 캐릭터 획득 기회가 증가함에 따라 과거에 나왔던 캐릭터
huge. They're going to fix some of the imbalance of old characters, and I think he's going to go a little bit more in detail.
들도 밸런싱 조정을 해서 좀 더 다양한 조합으로 던전을 공략하는 재미도 제공하려고 합니다. 구체적으로
So a lot of the characters that are currently in the game that are from the OG set aren't really great, because Smilegate really power crept the crap out of some of the newer units for the most part, and that needs to be fixed and adjusted. So at this point, we're going to be looking forward to see what are those changes, and he's going to talk about who's actually getting changed.
적으로 PVE 밸런스 영역에서 스토리 모드 노몬에서는 너무 큰 허들을 느끼지 않게 점진적으로 개선해 나갈 예정이고 이간 시점에는 시즌 1 노멀과
Now, before people jump down and say, "Oh, you're going to make the story easier," there are some stages that a normal story shouldn't be a hard brick lock for people. And I think that's what they're wanting to do, is just make sure that you can kind of cruise through it and enjoy the story. And then the challenge comes on the hard mode version. Because if you are going to offer two variations, honestly, the normal story should just be like a currency collector. You get to experience the story, and let the hard mode actually be the challenge. Because if you don't know that you need XYZ comp, you're probably going to get face rolled. But if you rolled through with a decent, comp that looked well built, if you don't do the mechanic or pay attention to what it has, it will wipe you right now in normal story mode. So I think they're going to probably just tune some of that stuff and let the harder stage actually need to be, physically paying attention. Oh, I need to use this skill here type stuff. So don't let that be a big red flag to you that they're going to make the story easier. It just means it should make it a smoother transition for you.
비천에터 초반층의 밸런스 조정이 진행돼서 초반 진행의 어려움이 해소될 예정입니다. 장기 플레이 유저분들의 당장의 할 거리를 추가하는 목적으로 일회성 콘텐츠인 엘레멘탈 타워도 100층까지
Now, this was new to me. We didn't even have element towers when I quit, so the fact that they've added 100 floors to this just means there's more to do, and that's great. That's a bunch of rewards in there. So the fact that you can do that, monstrous. We take that.
확장될 예정이고 도전 욕구를 불러일으킬 비천의 탑 하드, 베리 하드도 확장 계획에 있습니다.
That terrifies me as a player who's kind of still stuck in the original, but that's also great because it means there's going to be something to do to challenge you further on up, because hard and very hard are meant to be that.
캐릭터 밸런스 영역에서는 우선 선별 캐릭터들이 변경될 건데요. 기존의 배포 캐릭터인 베로니카 메네 그리고 추가된 선별 캐릭터들이
So this means that first banner that we talk about in the reroll guide, which is the free infinite reroll, the Meanie and Veronica are going to be put into it. However, this will determine if they change if they're adding other characters that you're going to be picked up outside of that, because currently new players and returning players get access to a free Meanie, and I think somewhere beating the story you get a Veronica. However, Ame and I think it's Ame and Ren are the two in there right now that you mainly go for. So this feels a little weird that they're going to be adding that into the reroll banner there, but it doesn't really matter. With the tickets they give away, you're never going to need to worry about this.
미세 수정되어 기존보다는 좋은 모습을 보이게 될 겁니다. 그리고 비천의 탑 배포 캐릭터인 시그마의 성능이 조정돼서 비천의 탑 하드와 베리 하드에서 어느 정도 사용될 수 있게 재조정될 예정입니다. 앞으로는 신규 캐릭터에만 의존하거나 지나치게 불합리한 공략 구조를 점진
That is a Smilegate strategy of making it kind of be the flavor of the month needs to beat certain things. So they're going to kind of pull some of that stuff back to make it more teams are viable. So that's good.
적으로 개선하고 매달 두세 종의 캐릭터를 꾸준히 리밸런싱할 계획입니다. 이를 통해
2 to 3 a month isn't that big when you think about it, but they only have really if they're looking at 3 stars, their roster's big, but it's not massive. It's not years and years and years of content. It's 2 years worth of characters. But they're specifically going to be focusing in older characters first, which is what he's about to get into. As long as they do it right and they listen to the community and they're willing to kind of keep playing with it instead of here it is and it's done, that's where the issue can come in.
유저님들이 다양한 캐릭터 조합을 실험하고 새로운 재미를 느끼실 수 있기를 바랍니다. 서비스 2년
And that's also kind of the beauty of these games, is being able to play how you want and to be able to take these units and create your own teams instead of having a hard locked meta, which there are many games out there where you have to use these hard X teams regardless of what you're doing. At least here, for where we even are now, you don't have to have the exact hard cookie cutter. It's more about mechanics, and since the pools are still limited, you have less choices. So the more that we're able to spread out and add in, because the units are better balanced overall, means that you don't have to have the latest greatest to do it. You can still use older teams that will perform just equally as good. So this is good, and we'll see, hopefully, their first crack at it here. I think in this next month, we'll see the first set of 2 or 3.
2년을 넘어오면서 일부 장기 플레이 유저분들이 성장 한계에 도달한 부분도 확인했습니다. 이에 따라 올해 안에는 새로운 도전 콘텐츠를 1종 정도 추가하고 성장캡 확장도 함께 검토하고 있습니다. 마지막 세 번째 개발 방향성은 편의성과 UI 개선입니다. 저희가 그동안 콘텐츠를 쌓아오기만 하고 정리를 충분히 하지 못한 부분이 있어 콘텐츠 접근까지 UI 뎁스가 과도하게 많거나 상정 이벤트 제어가 지나치게 다양.
Yes. This can definitely add up, and this is kind of a big deal. So, when you're just constantly in dump mode of adding and adding and adding, this kind of has piled up into a lot of the weird UI stuff. I wouldn't say that the shop is definitely a mess in terms of all the different currencies and stuff. But that's not really, I would see, as the biggest issue. But I mean, there is a ton of currencies when you actually go in there. I mean, there's currencies for all sorts of stuff. But like, it's organized, but that might just be because I've been there and I've seen it expand. But when I came back, there was a lot more, and I'm like, okay, I can kind of see this is getting a bit excessive. And it could be streamlined and probably toned down to be more like general currency wise.
양에 불편함을 느끼셨을 거라 생각합니다. 편의성 개선은 유저분들이 꾸준히 말씀해 주신 부분이기도 하고 개발팀 내부에서도 여러 의견이 제기돼 왔었습니다. 이미 이관 이전에 일괄 스킬 레벨업, 일괄 재량 기능 등을 추가했고 이관 이후에
Not gonna lie, that function that's now in the game is actually really nice. You just click one button, bang, skills leveled. Instead of having to level it up, level it up, level it up, level it up, because each skill has 5 levels. So there's 15 levels across, or 20 levels. It's 20 levels because there's 3 skills and the weakness gauge for the chain. So you have 20 different things you have to level up. And if you have all the books, then it's one click. Because, I mean, most of the stuff eventually will need to be maxed out. But new players, you will never use the max book level because you're going to be trying to spread it across too many characters right in the beginning. And you'll be trying to search for where is the cooldown because you are only going to have so many books. But if they start loosening up that resource, you probably will start doing that at some point, which is great. You know, cool.
후에는 가장 큰 편의성 개선 항목으로 고정 컨텐츠 일괄 소탕 기능을 준비하고 있습니다. 이 기능은 10월 말 업데이트를 목표로 하고 있습니다. 앞으로는 숙제처럼 느껴지는 컨텐츠는 빠르게 소화할 수 있도록 하고
The only thing I don't like about bulk sweep is it can technically lessen the gameplay and it becomes just a AFK simulator. But if it's done right, I don't necessarily mind it because people do need to get on with their lives. You're not meant to always play the game 8 hours a day. There are games designed for that. And most mobile games are designed for a much faster paced play. So we take that with a grain of salt, but it depends on how they do it. I mean, there's already sweeps in the game. So it's more about how does this get implemented is more the better thing.
재미와 성취감을 느낄 수 있는 영역에 집중할 수 있도록 게임의 전반적인 피로도를 낮추도록 하겠습니다. 또한 UI 리뉴얼도 순차적으로 진행해 좀 더 최신 게임에 걸맞은 느낌을 전달하고자 하니 많은 기대 부탁드리겠습니다.
While the UI doesn't look terrible, there are things about it that is kind of clunky when you're trying to go through it. So this will be interesting to see how they clean this up because this is the current UI and how it looks in game. So it's a little messy, but it's manageable. But there are definitely things to be done. One of the worst ones that you're going to notice is going to be in the gear when trying to filter gear. That menu is horrible and completely needs to be redone.
네, 오랜 시간 서비스하면서 당연하게 여겼던 부분들을 신규 유저의 시선에서 다시 검토하고 장기 플레이 유저분들께는 새로운 목표와 동기를 드릴 수 있도록 개선해 나가겠습니다. 이번 개발 방향성은 게임의 핵심 재미를 한 단계 발전시키는 데 초점을 맞추고 있습니다. 앞으로도 유저분들이 항상 즐겁게 플레이하실 수 있도록 꾸준히 개선에 힘쓰겠습니다. 다음으로는 2025년 하반기 업데이트 계획에 대해 말씀드리겠습니다. 약 3개월밖에 안 남았는데요. 이관 시점부터 남은 기간 동안 진행할 업데이트를 월별로 간략히 안내드리겠습니다. 먼저 9월입니다. 9월 23일을 기점으로 서비스를 잠시 중단하고 9월 26일에 저희
So it ended up delaying 7 days later. It opened October 1st because some issues between Apple and Google Play on the game being launched.
재오픈을 진행하는데요. 이관 이후 첫 업데이트인 만큼 기다려주신 유저분들이 즐겁게 플레이하실 수 있도록 준비해봤습니다. 우선 미뤄졌던 여름 한정 캐릭터와 이벤트가 함께 출시됩니다.
Alright, I've got a bone to pick with this. So they delayed it and it ended up being Smilegate's last biggest scam. They only put in the Korean voice actress for it. There's no English voice. I don't think there's a Japanese voice, unless that is the Japanese voice. It's hard for me to tell Korean and Japanese apart. I'm sorry, guys. But it's one of those, and I'm pretty sure it's the Korean being a Korean game. And that's it. They didn't bring a English voice actor, so I'm hoping that they rectify this thing because they kind of slid this under the door and said, screw you. because their game has always been, but it was a last minute budget cut for Smilegate because it wasn't their thing. So I'm hoping that this gets fixed, because if this is the new norm, you're going to hear a lot more and bigger rants about that. But she got delayed, but she is out, and she's terrible for PvE, mediocre, niche for PvP. So unfortunately, you got scammed because they didn't care. It wasn't their unit anymore. They knew it wasn't going to be coming out, so who cares about how it works?
추가되는 여름 한정 캐릭터는 청운의 꿈 엠버입니다. 화속성 엠버의 이격 캐릭터로 수속성 방어용 동료이고 고정 피해를 기반으로 PVE와 PVP 모드에서 활약할 수 있도록 디자인했습니다. 시원하고 귀엽고 매력적인 엠버를
Unfortunately, there's not a warm welcome for her because she's not good, and don't look at this as their problem. This is a Smilegate problem because it was done before they got to it. So from here on out, we should now be looking forward to seeing what they do, and the next new character is going to be very telling.
반갑게 맞이해 주시길 바랍니다. 또한 2주년 때 큰 호응을 얻었던 메르샤 페스티벌도 다시 진행됩니다. 2주년 당시와 동일하게 데미 캐릭터 1종을 선택, 획득할 수 있는 기회도 제공할 예정입니다. 앞서 말씀드린 도플갱어 던전 개선과 엘레멘탈 타워 확장 등도 진행할 예정입니다. 이간을 기다려주신 분들, 그리고 새롭게 함께 하실 분들 모두 즐겁게 플레이해 주시면 감사하겠습니다. 10월에는 온천 이벤트와 할로윈 이벤트가 순차적으로 복각되어 영참사와 타마모노마의 이야기를 다시 만나보실 수 있습니다. 이와 함께 저희가 모나드 마츠리라는 이름으로 11월 아우터플레인의 2.5주년까지
So that is what he's talking about right there is will be the first limited unit rerun for us, which will be the Tamano no May, the Kitsune Fox woman. You're gonna get her, I believe it's her limited is about to get rerun, and then there's a couple others that are about to be rerun as well. Then also events that run through Outerplane's 2.5 year.
이어지는 이벤트를 업데이트할 예정입니다. 마츠리 기간 동안에는 폭죽 이벤트를 통해 다양한 보상과 코스튬을 획득할 수 있고 많은 분들이 기다리셨던 신규 캐릭터 비엘라도 추가될 예정입니다. 또 10월 말에는 도전 컨텐츠 일괄 소탕기
So that will be probably I think that's the next demi they're talking about there.
기능이 새롭게 도입될 예정이라 기존 대비 한결 편하게 플레이를 즐길 수 있을 겁니다. 앞서 말씀드린 주기적인 캐릭터 밸런싱 작업도 이어지며 현재 활용도가 낮은 세이람과 노나, 추가적으로 한 종 정도의 캐릭터가 밸런싱 조정이 예정되어 있습니다. 11월에는 아우터 플레인 2.5주년을 기념하는 아우터 페스티벌이 새롭게 진행됩니다. 이간 이후 첫 번째 페스티벌인 만큼 모나드 마츠리에 이어 다양한 보상을 준비하고 있습니다. 이번 패스 캐릭터로는 비엘라의 이격 캐릭터인 그노시스 비엘라가 추가됩니다. 특히 이번에는 한정 영입이 아닌 데미 영입 라인업에 그노시스 비엘라가 포함되기 때문에
she's one of the, I was right. She was the new demi unit. So you'll be getting that, which is great. It means at any point in time, if you've saved up a pity or whatever, you could be able to pull her, start trying to pull her and stuff like that.
유저분들께서는 천천히 영입하셔도 무방하실 겁니다. 또한 11월 시점에는 기존 캐릭터를 한층 더 강화할 수 있는 각성 시스템이 추가됩니다. 첫 번째 각성 대상은 배포 캐릭터인 베로니카가 될 예정인데요.
Okay. Awakening system instantly is a kind of like a red flag for me because of seeing it go down. But basically, if it's done right, great, cool, new powers, and it's not what I would probably wanted it to be, but having it being something unique for each character is going to definitely bring characters. And this might be part of their balancing of bringing characters forward, and it also kind of makes sense of why they're kind of promoting Veronica's, because she is so easily accessible to get, so that players get access to having the awakening function as soon as possible. Don't know what it's going to be, what they're going to say, but that is definitely showing they have a plan for it. But it's probably some sort of new balancing thing for older characters to bring them more up to par, even though Veronica's great as is.
기대 부탁드립니다. 기존 캐릭터들의 밸런싱 작업과 함께 콘텐츠 개편으로 모나드 게이트가 함께 개선될 예정이니 이 부분도 놓치지 말고 기대해
This is right here. The Monad Gate is going to be revamped, and this is why when it comes to the Ultimate Beginner's Handbook guide, I will be waiting until that is released to put that video out in order. So if you happen to notice one day when we're making the video list and you start looking down the playlist, you will see the numbers jump. Is because I'm not going to actually make the video. What I'll end up doing is I'll put a TLDR video to currently get you through it, but when the real revamp comes out, because there's no point in jumping in and making a guide about that when it's literally being reworked. So it's more of just, here's a quick TLDR to get you in, get you going, and then we'll give you the cleaner, bigger version of it when it actually drops for the new revamp.
주시기 바랍니다. 12월 한 해의 마지막 업데이트에서는 스토리 모드 시즌4의 첫 번째 지역이 열리며 새로운 이야기가 시작될 예정입니다. 또한 작년에 많은 사랑을 받았던 크리스마스 이벤트와 성야의 축복 다이안이 부각되며
Limited unit, so this Diane is actually very, very good, so do make sure that you are saving Aether, you're saving, if you do have any of the leftover limited tickets for her, because she is definitely a unit worth pulling.
크리스마스 기간에는 아우터 플레인에서 가장 인기 높은 캐릭터 중 한 명이 이격 한정 캐릭터로 추가될 예정입니다. 장기 플레이 유저분들을 위한 새로운 도전 콘텐츠가 추가되고 성장 캡이 확장되어 새로운 목표를 향해 도전하실 수 있도록 준비하고 있습니다. 한 해를 마무리하는 업데이트.
Now I'm curious what he means by the growth cap. That is something that I'm still kind of unsure about. But he's to make the game more challenging in certain areas. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on.
만큼 더 알차게 준비해 유저분들께 즐거움을 드릴 수 있도록 하겠습니다. 앞으로도 유저 여러분과 더 가까이 소통할 수 있도록 이와 같은 자리를 자주 마련할 수 있도록 하겠습니다. 시간이 조금 걸리더라도 유저분들이 아우터 플레인을 오래 그리고 재미있게 즐기실 수 있도록 다양한 피드백에 귀 기울이고 하나씩 개선해 나가.
Hold up. Let's catch that in 4K real quick. There we go. Screenshot that, forward it to them, especially when they stop, if anybody at any point in time stops listening, be like, we will listen to your feedback. Just saying. No, it's memes, but you know, they say they're gonna listen. Let's see what they do.
그리고 하나씩 개선해 나가도록 하겠습니다. 시행착오가 있더라도 애정 있게 봐주시길 바라며 다시 한번 아우터 플레인을 즐기고 사랑해 주시는 모든 분들께 깊이 감사드립니다. 이간을 인내하고 기다려주신 감사한 마음을 담아 화면 아래와 같이
Last code, VA Games for You. This will also be, you know, like I said, pinned down below. And we'll have all 5 live codes there.
전 유저분들께 감사 쿠폰을 지급드리려고 합니다. 앞으로도 많은 성원 부탁드립니다.
So, that's it. That's kind of the quick thing. Now, it might not look like a lot, but there's a lot there. And, because my first initial part was going, that's really not a lot. But then when you actually start looking at what they've got to do, where they're going, you're looking at character balances, UI, UX improvements, which, I mean, that's spaghetti code that all has to be fixed and rearranged. You've got new content. They need to address the voice acting thing, because to me it's a big red flag when you have 3 languages and then you automatically start supporting one. It cheapens the experience for those of us who came because the game had a full English voice cast, like me. That was one of the major things that drew me to the game. But if you're going to start doing this, that irks me. Not that it's the end all. I mean, I play games that are voiced in only one language, but that does become a blemish that makes me go, But as long as they are successful, there should be no excuse, because if the funds are there and the community is supporting the game, a successful game can easily afford stuff like that. So, with this out of the way, you now understand why I'm trying to say give them hope, give them a chance. Let's see what comes up. Let's see what they are able to do. This is not Smilegate. This is now Major 9 and VA Games together, trying to bring you something new. So if this is the first time you've seen this, this is kind of the backstory. If this is your kind of return to seeing what Outerplane's about, this is why I'm trying to say give them another shot, because I think this is actually worth, I think this is worth enough right here in them admitting and attempting to fix issues. So, there's a lot more that needs to be fixed. There's a lot more that needs to be suggested, and they really need a lot, but we have to be patient because it will take time. We do not know how big this crew is. We do not know how fast they're going to be able to turn around certain feedback things depending on development schedule and what all they're working on. But like I said, if we look at this as a 6-month project of how well can they do, if this first 6 months turns out really well, you're going to see probably a really long and prosperous future for it. But if it continually declines because they can't get support, because people won't give them a chance, that's a big deal. Because that's going to seal the doom of a game if you cannot support them as a company. So right now, personally, this is the best time ever if you want to reroll and join and start playing Outerplane. There's a ton of free stuff being given away. You can really jumpstart your account. We show that in the service transfer video. We talk about it a little bit in the reroll guide. We talk about it all the time on stream. People are always coming in and asking stuff. So definitely try to give them a shot or give them a shot again at this. It is actually a pretty fun game. There's a lot of cool people to hang out with, and the character art is amazing. And yeah, give it one more shot for me. I think you'll enjoy it, especially if you are into this type of game. If this isn't your style game, it doesn't hurt. It's free to play. Give it a shot. Try rolling it for a little while. If you hate it, I'm not going to judge. There's other games out there. There's a game out there for everyone. So yeah. Thank you all so much for coming and watching this. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys to see this and kind of see a perspective from a day one player looking forward, looking into this, and also as somebody who was gone a year and now looking back at certain parts going, okay, yeah, I can see why they're talking about this, this, and this. So, yeah. Next up will be the Ultimate Beginner's Handbook. Next video will be the next video coming out for me. So, yeah, until then, take care. We'll see you later, everyone.